breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Hey, warmer from the low. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you. We're going to be joined in segment number 2 by a good friend of ours. We're going to be chatting it up with Dylan Rockford, who does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Going to talk with him, for one, about what we're all seeing in this murky American League. He's a fan of the Mets, so we do have to address the fact that it's been up, down, all around for the Mets thus far this season, and how he's taking a look at them right now. And then we'll dive into the slate that we've got for Wednesday in the final segment. Going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Wednesday as we touch them all. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, do have one of two ways via fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at GUNet_81. Keep in mind, Lars the M, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. And then from there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like here on this podcast via that 5-star review. Well, I did not get in any Twitter/X questions today. Boy, oh boy, did we have ourselves a fun slate of baseball on Tuesday. Let's take a look back at it, try to find some trends, and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
It took 10 innings, but the Seattle Mariners, they find a way to get the job done against the Baltimore Orioles, 6-5 the final. If you like me on the under in this game, you can't be too happy about the fact that this game was 4-2 going into the bottom of the ninth inning. Kobe Mayo was able to hit a home run, his ninth of the campaign, off of Jose Ferrer, and then he would give up another run as squanders a really good start for Logan Gilbert. 1 run allowed over the course of 6 innings. Alex Hoppe, not happy about the fact that he gave up an unearned run in an inning. He had a error out there in the field, as it was Mr. Cole Young who had that. From there, you were able to get a scoreless inning against Pyre. Ferrer gives up those 2 runs in the ninth inning, and then Nick Davila, he comes in for an inning. He gives up the unearned run in the 10th, but enough to be able to get the job done. Trevor Rogers gives up 3 runs over the course of 5 2/3 innings, including a home run as he was taken deep by Mitch Garver, 3rd home run of the season. From there, Andrew Kittredge, he gives up a run in an inning. Keegan Aiken, 4 outside the bullpen, scoreless. Tyler Wells pitches Wells. He was able to give you a scoreless inning, and then Uncle Rico Garcia gives up a home run in the 10th to Randy Arozarena, 7th home run season, 2 runs, 1 of which was earned. So Seattle, they're back above 500 at 36-32. They find a way to persevere there. Also, if you're finding a way to persevere, the Miami Marlins, 10-6. They take down the Arizona Diamondbacks. Max Meyer, 2 solo home runs allowed in 5 1/3 innings. Corbin Carroll, 11th home run of the season. Gabriel Moreno, his 5th. From there, Anthony Bender, pair of outside the bullpen squirrels. Michael Peterson, great name, unearned run given up in his inning of work. From there, Tyler Zuber give up 3 runs in 1/3 of an inning. Things were a little bit strange there in the back half for the Marlins, and for the Diamondbacks, they did strain 12 men on base in this game, but Calvin Fauché, pair of outside the bullpen squirrels. Pete Fairbanks, scoreless ninth inning to get that one in, and Zach Gallen filled it up, giving up 4 runs over the course of 5 1/3 innings. Taylor Clark from there, 2 runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning. Ryan Thompson, scoreless inning out of him, but you had Brandon Garcia give up 4 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Kevin Ginkel out of the bullpen from there. So the Marlins looking to head back to 500. They get that one in, and Rays seem to be rebounding a little bit. 4-3, they take down the Boston Red Sox. Game had 18 hits in it, so expected maybe a little bit more scoring. Peyton Tolley, well, he got paid to the Tolley. 4 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings. From there, Tommy Kahnle, Garrett Woodlock, they both give you a scoreless inning, and Nick Martinez does give up 3 runs in 7 innings, but keeps things out in front of them. And then from there, Kevin Kelly, Brian Baker, they both give you a shutout inning. Dylan Cease, in his first start off the injury list, pretty solid as the Blue Jays. They get the win by a count of 3-2. Cease, 11 punch-outs, 1 run allowed over the course of 6 innings. Jeff Hoffman, Mason Fluharty from there, a shutout inning. Louis Varland, uncharacteristically, gives up a run that raises his ERA to a 0.5, but that gets the job done, and that gets him the win as Zach Whelan and Dylan Wheeler, he gives up a solo home run over the course of 6 innings of work, taken deep by Jesus Sanchez, 7th home run season. From there, Orion Kirkering, Jose Alvarado, they combine for 2 shutout innings between the 2 of them, and then Yoran Duran, he gives up a pair of runs in the 9th inning as the Phillies were up by a count of 2-1 going into that bottom of the 9th inning. Brandon Valenzuela, the walk-off winner for the Blue Jays, who are just 2 games below 500 now. For Paul Skeens, solid start, and then the Pirates bullpen completely lit this game ablaze on him. 12-3, the LA Dodgers get the job done here as Eric Lauer gives up a pair of solo home runs in 5 2/3 innings. Ryan O'Hearn, 10th home run season. Brian Reynolds, his 7th. From there, we'll climb 4 outside the bullpen squirrels. Blake Trinan, he gives you a scoreless inning. Tanner Scott, great Scott, gives up a run in an inning as Paul Skeens, 2 runs allowed in 6 innings. Not bad against the LA Dodgers. And then 6 runs, 5 of which were earned by Wilber Dotel. He had an ERA of a 109 entering the night, 378 closing the night, as he does give up a home run to Andy Paz. 15th home run season, did not get a single out of the bullpen. Brandon Bedoy from there gives up 4 runs, 2 of which were earned in his 2/3 of an inning of work. Dennis Santana. He got 4 outs out of the bullpen scoreless, and Tyler Callahan, the backup left fielder, had to come in and get a scoreless 9th inning, and for the Dodgers, a 10 spot in the 7th inning. So that was a very lucky 7 for them, and his team is feeling pretty lucky themselves, as for the New York Yankees, they get the job done 3-2 against the Cleveland Guardians. For Garrett Cole, not long for this game, gives up 2 runs over the course of 4 innings, 5 shutout innings from the Yankees bullpen from there. Paul Blackburn, Tim Hill, they combine for 2 shutout innings. Camilo Duvall, 8 shutout inning. Jake Bird gives a bird with an out of the bullpen scoreless. Fernando Cruz, 5 out save from there. Slade Sassoni was solid, 2 runs allowed over the course of 5 innings. Take it deep in this one by one Mr. Spencer Jones, his first home run of the campaign, and I believe his first career home run as well. And then Jazz Chisholm, he does get jazzy a little bit later on off of Tim Aaron. 9th home run of the season for Herron, gives up a solo home run in 1 1/3 innings. Colin Holderman, he holds up to his name. He gives a shutout inning. Matt Festa, he had a fiesta with a pair of outside the bullpen squirrels. Sean Armstrong, a squirrel setting out of the bullpen, but for the Guardians, they leave 13 men on base. That is not going to win you a lot of games there, kids, but this is going to win you some games. Shutting out a team. The St. Louis Cardinals, 7-0 winners over the New York Mets. Freddie Peralta did not have it on this night. 6 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings, including a home run to Alec Burleson, 9th home run of the campaign. From there, you had Cianel Perez give you a shutout inning. 1 run allowed in 2 innings by Joey Gerber, but for the Cardinals, Dustin May made it Mayday with 6 shutout innings. Justin Brule from there, 2 shutout innings. Matt Savanson, recalled from the minor leagues, he was able to give a scoreless inning to wrap things up there. Being able to wrap things up with a bang, how about the Detroit Tigers? 10-4, they take down the Minnesota Twins. Taj Junkel, Milton Bradley, well, he was playing games in this one. 5 runs allowed over the course of 4 1/3 innings. Take it deep 3 times as Kerry Carpenter, his 9th home run of the campaign. Dylan Dingler, his 15th, and Riley Green, his 7th for Dingler. A little bit later on, 16th home run of the campaign. That comes off of Taylor Rogers. He gives up 2 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Eric Orze gives up 2 runs in his inning work. Justin Lawrence, he gives up a run in an inning. Cody Lawyerson was able to spy a scoreless inning in. Troy Milton experienced some regression here. Gives up 4 runs on 5 innings, and all 4 runs were solo home runs. Byron Buxton, 19th home run of the season. Josh Bell is 7th. Brooks Lee is 10th. Cody Clemens is 9th, but limited the damage by them all being solo shots. From there, Brendan Hennefy, Derek Anderson combined for a shutout inning. Tyler Holton and out of the bullpen before Kyle Finnegan. He's able to give you 5 outs scoreless, and then Emmanuel De Jesus, he was able to turn a scoreless 9th inning. Lots of scoring in this game. If you took the under of 13.5, you still managed to get there, but the Athletics, they get the job done 7-5 over the Milwaukee Brewers. For the Brewers, you did have Jackson Chourio go deep in this one in the first inning off of JT Ginninjuice. His 5th home run in the campaign, that was with no outs in the first inning. Ginn would settle down from there, still gives up 5 runs over the course of 5 2/3 innings, but Alpha Alvarado was in the building. 4 outs out of the bullpen squirrels. You were able to get a 2-inning save out of Mason Barnett. He was able to go 2 shutout innings, and on the flip side for the Brewers, Robert Castor got gashed. He gives up 6 runs over the course of 5 innings, 4 bombs, as Jonah Heim gets his 5th home run of the campaign. Tyler Soderstrom is 11th, Nick Kurtz his 15th, and Henry Bolte, his first career home run, and then Zach Galoff off of the former Athletic Joel Kuhnel. He was just pitching for the team 72 hours ago. Kuhnel gives up a home run in an inning of work, and for Galoff, that's his 8th home run of the season. Coleman Crowe was able to supply 2 shutout innings, but the Athletics, they get up off the mat, they get the job done in this one. Being able to get the job done here, the Colorado Rockies, 7-3. They take down the Chicago Cubs. Colin Ray, more like Colin Boo, 4 2/3 innings, gives up all 7 runs, including a pair of bombs. Going deep for the Colorado Rockies, Hunter Goodman, he's a good man. His 18th home run of the season. Then Ezekiel Tovar, his 5th of the campaign. Flip side, Michael Busch does go deep off of Tomoyuki Sugano, 7th home run of the season. Sugano gives up 3 runs over the course of 5 innings, but from there, Brendan Bernardino, Antonio Salzatella, Jay Nill, Seth Alverson, they all are able to turn shutout innings. For the Royals, they get the job done 5-3 over the Walker Texas Rangers. Nathan Eovaldi gives up 4 runs over the course of 5 2/3 innings. He was taken deep in this one by Jack Caglione. 7th home run season, then Caglione off of Jalen Beeks. 8th home run season. Beeks gives up a home run in 2/3 of an inning of work. Cole Winn, pair of outs out of the bullpen squirrels. You were able to get a scoreless inning as well out of the young gun in Robbie Alstrom. And for the Kansas City Royals, not bad here from Stephen Kolek. 2 runs, one of which was earned in 5 innings. Gives up 8 hits, but is able to control the damage. From there, Steven Cruz, 4 outs out of the bullpen squirrels. Daniel Lynch does give up a run in an inning, but John Schreiber, pair of outs out of the bullpen squirrels, and Alex Lang is able to give you a shutout inning of his own, being able to give you quite a few shutout innings. How about the Athletics? How about the Angels? They get a 10-1 victory over the Houston Astros. For the Astros, they got down very early in this game. They were down 7-0 after the end of the second inning as Kai Wei-Tang, 7 runs, 5 which were earned, give it up in 4 innings. He did have AJ Bluebow from there, be able to give you a pair of shutout innings. And then Alimber Santa. Well, this was not a Christmas gift. There were 3 hours out there on the field, so he gives up 3 unearned runs over the course of 2 innings. While Betty Arena did walk 5 for the Angels, 5 innings, but kept it clean, no runs given up. I am Brent Suter from there, gives up 1 run over the course of 2 innings, and then Drew Pomeranz, Kirby Yates. Scoreless 8th and 9th innings, so the Angels find a way to persevere there. The Washington Nationals find a way to persevere as well. 6-3, they're able to take down the San Francisco Giants. Giants in this game leave 13 men on base. Adrian, don't call him Doogie Howser, pitch a little bit more like Doogie Howser in this game. Gives up a home run to Luis Garcia, 8th home run season, 3 runs in total, give it up in 4 1/3 innings. Sam Entridge from there, a pair of outs out the bullpen squirrels. JT Brubaker gives up a run in an inning. Eric Miller did not get a single out. He gave up a run along the way, so you had to have Tristan Beck come in there for 2 innings. He gives up an unearned run along the way, hurt by a fielding error. Dylan Smith, a shutout inning of his own. And for Washington, Andrew Alvarez, not a ton of length, 5 walks allowed in 4 innings, but only gives up 2 runs. From there, Brad Lord said, "Oh Lord," a 2 2/3 inning squirrels. Richard Dickey Lovelady, and out of the bullpen squirrels, Clayton Beater, shutout inning. Orlando Rebalta does give up a home run in the 9th inning, going deep for San Francisco. Bryce Aldridge does get his 3rd home run in the campaign, but damage by then had been done, so Nationals find a way to get the job done there. And then you have a walk-off winner from the White Sox, 6-5 the final, as it was home run number 1 of the career of young Braden Montgomery in his MLB debut that lifted the team to victory. That comes in the 10th inning after Grant Holmes. He was out long for this game. 3 2/3 innings, gives up 3 runs, all of which were earned, gives up home run to Miguel Vargas, 16th home run of the campaign. From there, the bullpen was doing its part. The Dodd father, Dylan Dodd, 5 outs of the bullpen squirrels. Carlos Cookie Carrasco gives up a run, and 1 2/3 innings of Robert Suarez, shutout inning, and then Racy Iglesias, squirrels 9th inning, comes out for the 10th, gives up 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, including that walk-off home run to Montgomery. Brandon Eisert as the opener, not what he was looking for. 2 runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning as he was taken deep by Matt Olson, 18th home run season. Then Olson off of Eric Fetty whop, gets his 19th home run season for Fetty. Doesn't get whopped too badly. 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, give it up in 5 innings. From there, bullpen goes to work. Tyler Gilbert in out of the bullpen squirrels. Sir Anthony Dominguez, a squirrel setting. Tyler Davis, a squirrel setting as well. And then Grant Taylor, squirrels 9th inning, gives up an unearned run in the 10th inning, but he was good enough to be able to get the win. And the White Sox, very surprisingly, 35-31 thus far this season. And do have to have this up by midnight Pacific, 3 o'clock a.m. Eastern. For the Reds and the Padres, they went to extra innings. Currently, it is the Reds up by a count of 3-2 in this game, despite the fact that they have left 14 men on base. In the first 9 innings of Padres, they left 11 men on base, and Lucas Giolito, he was not long for this game, gives up 5 walks over the course of 4 innings, 2 runs, 1 of which was earned there. David Morgan, Adrian Morejon from there, they're able to give you 3 shutout innings. Jason Adam, Mason Miller, they both give you a scoreless inning, but then Bradley Rodriguez, he gives up the unearned run in the 10th inning. Meanwhile, for Chase Burns, not chased too early in this game, 5 1/3 innings, he gives up a pair of runs. Brocken Rolberg was able to give you a 5 outs out of the bullpen squirrels. Caleb Ferguson out of the bullpen squirrels. Danny Santillan, he was able to turn a squirrel setting. Sam Moll got a pair of outs in the 9th inning to be able to send it to the 10th, and then TJ Antone gives up a run in that 10th inning that led to an 11th inning, and for the Reds, they were able to come up with a pair of runs in that 11th inning as cousin Sal Stewart, he was able to go yard for Stewart. That is home run number 13 of the campaign. That one comes off of Yuki Matsui. He's really had a rough run of things over the last few days. 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, and then Zachary Maxwell came on in the 11th. Think that the Reds should be able to get the job done, but with this Reds bullpen, you just never know with them, so have to have this up by midnight Pacific, 3 o'clock a.m. Eastern. That was rough if you had the under in that game, and if you're taking a look at trend-wise, what we're getting in baseball right now, it very much has been an overwhelming season. The over rate is right now a little bit over 51%, 497 overs, thinking that this will become 498 after this Reds game, 476 unders, and about 25 pushes along the way. Favorites on the money line hitting at 55.4%, 537 and 433, but among those 537 favorites, a whopping 128 have failed to cover the run line over the last 7 days. Favorites hitting at just 45 and 40 on the money line. All but 11 have covered the run line, though. Meanwhile, the over 8 in Major League Baseball starting to tame just a little bit. 45 overs, 42 unders, and 3 pushes along the way. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now. That's what we're getting trend-wise. Coming next, let's chat it up with our good friend Dylan Rockford of the Sports Gambling Podcast. I work right here on the Baseball Betting Show. Myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the Beast and Family Podcast.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back your lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. Always great to be joined by this man as we've got Dylan Rockford aboard. He does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball, and he does a great job on so many different fronts. He does a great job with regards to baseball, the fight game over at Axe Kicks Picks, and UFC 250. Man, that is going to be absolutely ridiculous what we're going to be getting there. I know that he's diving in with a little bit of football, soccer, like this man does a little bit of everything. He does so also well. You're able to follow him on the old Twitter/X at Rock with 2Ks, number 24 altogether. And Dylan, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Great to be with you. Wednesday, we got day baseball. I cannot wait. Freedom 250 this Sunday. Are you going to watch?
Oh, of course I'm going to watch. That is going to be a spectacle. If for nothing else, just to take a look at the layout and just how they pull it all off. That is going to be great. What else is great is the fact that we do have day baseball because, man, we are currently in the middle of a stretch where 5 out of 9 days does not have day baseball. Someone should be fired for putting that together. I know that it's the individual teams, but, man, someone needs to be advising these teams, hey, let's try to get at least one day game out there. And I mean, one of the teams that will not be playing day baseball on Wednesday is your New York Mets. But that said, things have been a little bit better for them recently. How do you take a look at this Mets team right now? Because I still think that the postseasons are the picture. I still think that things are relatively rough. But at the very least, they're getting back to a little bit of respectability, it feels like, through their pitching.
Still last place, but, you know, they are playing a little better. 7-3 in their last 10. They're okay. You know, the good news is Francisco Alvarez, he might be coming back sooner than we think from that meniscus tear. So they did activate him just 4 weeks after that meniscus tear. I know people are wondering when Kodai Senga is going to be back. He just got scratched from a rehab start. He has nerve irritation in that right arm. So who knows? Probably a setback there. But yeah, you know, playing a little better. We did play the Padres, who they just can't buy a win right now, but playing better. But I agree. I don't think playoffs are in the foreseeable future for us. My question to you, though, don't mean to throw it back, but do you think we'll blow it up, or do you think, you know, make a move? Because I think they're going to blow it up.
Ah, man, they had to 2 seasons ago back when they had Max Scherzer and company. I don't know quite yet because you have to feel like Steve Cohen, who stuck so much money into that roster, does not want to see that all go by the wayside. But I think that at this point it's a little bit of a TBD. What I do know is that they've got an interesting game on Wednesday, though, and for the St. Louis Cardinals, they've been one of the biggest surprises in all baseball, but that offense has really waned. Right now we're seeing a total of 8.5. Andre 3000 Palante, he's going to be going for the Cardinals. Christian Scott is on the bump for the Mets. Mets are about a minus 135 favorite. Want to get your thoughts here because I actually think there's great value on the under with the way that the Mets are pitching, and like I said, for the Cardinals offense, just really feels like they've hit the skids recently.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised here that the Mets are 130 favorite. I only made them a minus 110 favorite. I agree. I think Christian Scott's been great, especially his past 3 starts. Just 1 run given up in his last 16 innings. They have been playing better baseball as well. Their bullpen has been solid. So, like you said, they're winning these games because of their pitching. I think Palat's been good here on the road. So, 2 good pitchers, good bullpen. And yeah, I kind of like the under 8.5 as well. My total came out to 7.6. I like the under here. I do think the Mets offense will go a little anemic here. And, you know, Cardinals, they did just win 4 games in a row, but they just played the Reds, who they're another team that just can't buy a win right now. So I don't know how much I put into that. I think we see a lower scoring game. It's going to be a really nice night here in Queens. So I do worry about the wind. It is blowing out into center field, but I don't believe in the Mets offense. So I think we see a lower scoring game. I think Cardinals are live here at plus 116 as well, if you like a side, but I like the under as the best play.
Absolutely. That is a game that I'm looking at to the under. How about if we take a look at a game where I like the over on? That'd be the Diamondbacks versus the Miami Marlins. Mostly seeing 8s, a few straight 8.5s. Relative pick'em game between Ryan Nelson and Ryan Gusto. So battle of Ryans. And I'm not sure what you're looking at in this game, but with a total of 8 and Ryan Gusto on the mound, I just don't think that you can really play the under here.
Yeah, it's insane. I love the over 8 at minus 110. My total came out to 8.9. I mean, I just don't know how we don't expect runs. You know, small sample size, but Ryan Gusto is not good. He's given up 3 runs in back-to-back starts, and it's not like he's going long in the games either. He's going, 2-3 innings, if that. So I think it's a good spot for the Snakes to get their bats going. 2 of his 3 starts for Gusto have gone over this total. And the Snakes on the road are an over team, 16-12 towards the over, away from Arizona. And the Fish, they have been playing better as of late. They've scored 4+ runs in 4 of their last 5 games as well. So I think we'll see plenty of runs here. It's probably one of my favorite plays on the board. Give me the over 8 at -110.
Yep, right there with you. That was one that I looked at the board. I'm like, wow, 8. They're really thinking that there's going to be some positivity here for Ryan Gusto that I don't see. But there's always positivity when we've got Dylan Rockford on this podcast. He's going to be right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And then this game, I think, is the most intriguing one on the board just because we have a sample size of 1 as we're recording this for games out here in lovely Las Vegas. We're doing this out of the Tuesday night game. It's going to be Athletics versus Brewers with a total between 14 to 14.5. Now, Jack Perkins along with Brandon Sproat have really bad ERAs, but I want to get your thoughts here because this is like a total that you'd find even higher than what we'd find at Coors Field. And no doubt about it, that first game, 15 to 14, absolutely wild. Maybe it's just me, but I expect a little bit of positivity here with Jack Perkins. And I think this might be a good time to be able to buy in on the under after the, shall we say, overreaction to that first game.
Yeah, this is insane. So 14 I see at -110. It's a crazy number, but look what we just saw yesterday, 15 to 14. We put up 29 runs in that
11
game.
homers.
Oh my God. And who was the guy who hit the walk-off? It wouldn't have been a home run in every other ballpark, they said. So that's crazy. I made my total 11.7, and I thought that was kind of high. At 14, it's just, you know what it is, though? I don't want to be that guy to be like, oh, I like unders. I know sharp bettors are more under bettors, but I like to root for runs sometimes. But with Brandon Sprout, who he is not good, Jack Perkins is not good either. They're both terrible. It's hard not to see runs. So maybe a first 5 over. I expect a lot of runs here. Maybe not 14. But Greg, come on, these two pitchers are terrible.
Yeah, they really are, man. That was just such a bandbox of a ballpark, what we saw on Monday. We'll see if things are going to be a little bit more calm here moving forward, but that was absolutely wild, especially considering the Brewers were dead last in the league in terms of home runs on a per-at-bat basis prior to the series. They no longer are, as we do have our good friend Dylan Rockford joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show, and no doubt that's going to be interesting. And before we dive in on a few other games, just how do you take a look at the American League in general? Because we haven't really dove in on the American League yet, and it just feels like it's a big giant hodgepodge right now, especially with the top teams in the Rays and the Yankees having struggles. Yankees are now without Aaron Judge. Someone needs to win these games, but I just don't know who that team is going to be to win these games.
Yeah, now only 6 teams over 500 in the American League. I think last time I talked to you, there was 3. So they've doubled it. So now there's 6. I like Tampa. They just can't score. I mean, they've not looked good. Still +9 run differential. The Aaron Judge injury, it concerns me here. First of all, I don't understand why there's a 10-day IL and then nothing in between. It's either a 10 or a 60. But from everything that I've read, it looks like he's going to be out longer than most people think. So I think he might be out towards the All-Star break. So they just got to keep winning without him. I was looking at the American League's MVP race, and I think, with Bobby Witt Jr. going down on Sunday, I like Yordan Alvarez, but the two things about Kansas City and Houston is they're both below 500, and they're both bad teams. You look like a guy like Ben Rice sitting there at third. He's the guy who's going to have to carry the workload without Aaron Judge. So I think it's a flyer to put on for Ben Rice at MVP right now for the American League. But yeah, I still favor the Yankees. I think the Guardians, they're not playing the best baseball, but they have a really good matchup here against the Yankees throughout the week. I think the White Sox are a fun team with Davis Martin. I like Davis Martin. They just win his games, whatever he does. Seattle, I'm starting to come around on as well. +34, they are just a much different team at home than they are on the road. And Texas, I think Texas is going to be a nice second half team. Their pitching has been good. It's offense. Can this team score runs? If they can, they're a good team.
And I'm so glad that you mentioned the Rangers and the Royals there because they are going to be playing on Wednesday. And I'm seeing a total between 9.5 and 10 with the Rangers -115 to -125 favorites. And this feels way too high in this game for the total, considering both of these teams are in the bottom 6 in terms of run creation. Just mentioned it with the Rangers. They can't score. And the Royals, their offense has been so terrible this year that I don't see where they got this total from.
I don't either. And then I looked, I was like, for these two offenses, no way the total is this high. But then I looked at the weather. It's going to be a windy night in Kansas City. It's going to be 16-mile-an-hour winds blowing out towards center field. I was on with Scott Reichel today on the MLB Gambling Podcast over on SGPN. He made a great point. It's just like we have to have these teams dare us to score these many runs. I'm going to bet that they don't do that, honestly. Even with Mackenzie Gore, I like the Rangers here on the road. -115, I think, is a very fair price. They made the Rangers a -130. Royals have been winning, but coming back home, I think it could be different. They're an under 500 team at home this year. They don't hit lefties well. I think this could be a nice bounce back start here for Mackenzie Gore. He's already shown that he could shut this team down. He's gone 6 scoreless innings last time against this Kansas City team. So I don't expect a lot of runs here from this Kansas City team. I like for a side, I'm going to take the Rangers, but yeah, I'm going to dare them both to score some runs. I'll take the under as well.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And they did move the fences in at Kauffman Stadium as well, so the Royals have been scoring a bit more at home rather than away from them. But man, that just feels a little bit too high. And then this one I think is interesting because for the Cubs, Shohei Managa had a nice first 2 or so months of the season. Man, that man is toilet bowled recently. And Michael Lorenzen has been one of the worst home pitchers that we have seen in quite some time. Right now, we've got a total of 12. The Cubs are -165 favorite. Want to get your thoughts here because you've got 2 awful pitchers, but a Cubs team that I've watched over the last month, and I don't think I've seen a worse situational hitting team in my life than the Chicago Cubs have been over the last month.
I mean, the fall down for Imanaga has to be studied. He was one of my favorite pitchers the first month, 2 months into the season, and then he just went downhill from there. This is a terrible game. I'm going to be straight up honest. I probably won't be betting it, but it's crazy because, we talked about the Brewers and the A's and how the total at 14 is ridiculously high. I actually see a 12.5 at a Hard Rock at -125. I'm going to actually bet the under. I know Scott liked the over in the game, but I'm going to bet the under here at 12.5. I think it's gone a little too high. My total came out to 11.3. Even for Colorado, I think that's high. The over really hasn't been profitable at Coors Field this year. And so Rockies, they've lost 4 in a row. They don't hit lefties that well. So hopefully Imanaga could have a good start. I know Michael Lorenzen is terrible at home, but just look at the recent performance or recent scores for Chicago. 1 run. 3 runs in back-to-back games, 4 runs. Like another situation where I'm going to dare both of these offenses to put up runs, which I don't think they're going to be able to do. So yeah, I'm going to take the under 12.5. I know people don't like betting unders and cores, but I'm going to go with my numbers.
Yep, I'm right there with you, and I just feel like 12 is a little bit too high with the Cubs, and the fact that you don't really see it on the spreadsheet or anything like that, but these guys have just been so bad in terms of situational hitting that it's not even funny, so I'm in total agreement with you there, and we've got ourselves a full day of baseball on Wednesday, all 30 teams in action. Yeah, there is 1 or 2 games are off the board, which hurts us a little bit as we record this, but anything else that's really catching your attention and you're going to be firing in on?
Yeah, we'll go with an afternoon game in the Bay Area between the Nationals and the Giants. Robbie Ray going for the Giants and for Foster Griffin. I don't mind the Nationals here, -105. I think it's a fair price. I think Griffin has been solid on the road for Washington. 5-1. He has a 3.40 ERA. Batters hitting under 200 against him. And the Nationals are 6-1 straight up in his 7 road starts. Honestly, he's only really had 1 poor start on the road, and it was against Cincinnati, oddly enough. But last 2 road starts, he's been great. 11 innings, only 1 run, given up on 5 hits. Walks are down as well. And we know the Giants aren't a great hitting team to begin with. They're not good at home, under 500 at home. And the Nationals are good against lefties. They're a good lineup. They could score runs. So I'm going to take the short price here with the Nationals. And then lastly, Mariners and the Orioles. George Kirby going up against Brandon Young. I think -122 is what I'm seeing right now for Seattle. I think that's a fair price here on the road. My numbers made him a -135 favorite. I think Seattle's playing some solid baseball right now. 7-3 in their last 10. Orioles, they've lost 3 in a row. And I really don't mind George Kirby on the road. He's actually been better away than in Seattle. Last 2 starts were at home, now getting back on the road where, he is playing with the better team. He's backed up by a top 5 bullpen as well in Seattle. I actually like the under as well. I don't mind Brandon Young. I think he's been serviceable. Maybe first 500 because I don't trust that bullpen in Baltimore. Bottom 10 in the league, bottom 5 in the American League, and I just don't trust the recent output offensively for the Orioles. So I'm going to take Seattle here at the short price.
Yep, I think that's why he's taking the Orioles bullpen out of it because, man,
Yeah.
those guys have not been great to say the least. Reds bullpen, there have been a few that have been absolutely awful. The opposite of you, Dylan. You're doing an amazing job on so many different fronts, whether that be the fight game, whether that be football, whether that be this great game of baseball, and so much more. So, love the good people at home. Know it's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Yeah, you guys can find me over on Twitter or X, whatever you guys call it, at Rock with 2Ks 24. We got the World Cup starting in a few days. We got a preview with Malcolm Bamford from the Sports Gambling Podcast coming on the pod for that. We have the Freedom 250. That is going to be amazing this weekend. Baseball keeps going. We got the UFL Championship this weekend as well. See if DC could go back-to-back. But other than that, Greg, as you know, the grind never stops.
Absolutely. It does never stop. And a man that never stops working, that'd be Dylan. He does such an amazing job on so many different fronts, and every single time he joins me, lends such great insight. So a big thanks to Dylan for joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Coming next, it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Wednesday as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by Dylan Rockford, who does such great work over the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, looking at this great game of baseball, the fight game, and so much more. Every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights. He did so once again today. So big thanks to Dylan for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Wednesday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that, as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at gunit_81. We are going to be going in Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first in time order, then the American League games in time order. Any interleague games, those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice and clean and easy. So let's get things started. This is 901, 902 on the card. The Nationals, they are going to be on the road against the Giants, and Robbie Reyes has hit Pepper to another start for San Francisco. Foster Griffin on the bump for Washington. Washington is about even money to plus 102. Minus 120 is that number on the Giants, and getting a total of 8.5. Under is anywhere between even money to minus 115. Over is minus 105 to a minus 120. And for the Giants, I set this at a minus 124. So I'm going to be willing to take a shot here on the money line for Robbie Ray. He's got some very big home and road splits. As for Robbie Ray, he's been posting up an ERA that is right around about a 4.12 for the season, 5.34 fielding dependent, with 1.7 home runs per 9 innings overall. But that goes down to a 2.78 with 1.1 home runs allowed per 9 innings at home. Meanwhile, 5.35 ERA, 2.3 home runs per 9 innings away from home. And Foster Griffin has a higher fielding independent than his ERA. 4.64 fielding independent, 3.63 ERA. He's been giving up the deep ball as well, 1.8 home runs per 9 innings. But as is indicated by Robbie Ray's home and road splits, San Francisco, one of the most pitcher-friendly ballparks in all baseball. And for San Francisco, they've had a nice outburst. Last week, they scored like 7 runs per game, but pretty much all of that came on the road, and that came at Coors Field as well. And for the Giants, they're a bottom 5 team in terms of run creation at home. Willie Adames is starting to pick it up, 11 home runs, but still less than a 300 on base. Rafael Devers, 8 home runs, less than a 300 on base. You expect a little bit more there. They've had Jungle Lee, Luis Rise move the line, both are hitting above a 315. Casey Schmidt, 15 bombs. He's been hitting about a 285. And Bryce Eldridge, he's been able to about a 285 as well. So they're picking it up a little bit, but you still have some of these mix and match guys not doing the world's greatest job. I do like Daniel Susich at the catcher spot as well. And then for the Washington Nationals, this team entered in the series numero uno in terms of run creation in all baseball. James Wood, CJ Abrams carrying the mail with Abrams, 14 home runs. He's been able to give you over a 360 on base, actually closer to a 380 on base. James Wood, 400 on base, 17 home runs. And then the ancillary guys like a Curtis Mead, now I'll give you about a 350 on base. He's up to 9 home runs. Dallin Lyle hitting at 255 with 8 bombs. Luis Garcia has been able to move line. They've been solid. For the Nationals, they are at a disadvantage with the bullpen. They've been a bottom 10 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Getting Clayton Beater off the injury list has helped them out. He and Richard Dickey Lovelady both give you a sub 4 ERA. And Orlando Revolta has been pretty solid in the bullpen. Brad Lord is able to give you some good long relief. And for the Giants, they have faded down to being about a league average team with regard regards to their bullpen ERA. With regards to someone like JT Brubaker, he's been solid. He, along Keaton Wynn, I've been able to give you a sub-4 ERA. It's longer guys. Sam Entiges has been able to hold down the fort. Eric Miller has been a little bit up and down. Tristan Beckson's coming off the injury list has been awful, but I do think that for the Giants, they do just enough to be able to get the job done, and with this being a pitcher-friendly environment, do think they can get a lower scoring game. Somebody told it at 8.1, like the under and the Giants, I set them at a minus 124, willing to back them on the money line. 9-3, 9-4 on the card. The Reds, yes, we're on to Cincinnati. They're onto the road. They're facing off against East San Diego Padres. Michael King hopes to be the king for the Pods, and Brady Singer hopes to have the Padres singing the blues. Total on this game, it is 8. Over is between minus 110 to a minus 120. Seeing a straight 8.5 out there. That under is minus 125. The over is plus 105, and for the Padres, they are between minus 155 to minus 165, between plus 135 to plus 140 is your number on Cincinnati. I set the Padres at a minus 154 on the money line. I was willing to take a plus 138 or higher if you're looking to lay a run half with them, and right now I'm finding that more in the neighborhood, about a plus 135, plus 140. I personally would rather have a money line, and when it's all said and done, when we get the timelines, I do think that I can get closer to about a minus 150, minus 154, so going to be looking at a bit of a chalkier money line with the San Diego Padres unless if things just don't jive. Now for Brady Singer, it's just been brutal for him this far this season. For Singer, he's always been a relatively okay pitcher, and he has not been that thus far this season for Singer. 5.89 ERA, 6.80 fielding independent, 2.8 home runs, 3.1 walks allowed per 9 innings, but for the Padres, dead second last in terms of run creation, 3.8 runs per game overall, about 3.45 runs per game when they've been at home, and while Fernando Tatis Jr. is moving line, he's been able to give you about a 345 on base. 1 home run entering into yesterday. Manny Machado's hit 11 home runs, but he's hitting a .166. Kevin Sheets, he's hitting a 230. He's been your other boom guy with 10 home runs this season. As a matter of fact, for the Padres, he only had 3 guys in the starting lineup yesterday with more than 3 home runs this season. With Jackson Merrill, he has got 6 home runs, but he's hitting a .98 as well. So it's been all sorts of rough there. And then for the Reds, they've been dealing with the injury to Ellie De La Cruz, so that's been hurting them. But you've had JJ Bleday, Spencer Sear both be able to step it up. Both of these guys give you over 325 on base, 19 home runs between the two of them. Nathaniel Lowe, he's getting low for 9 bombs, hitting about at 250 now. Bottom of the lineup, Matt McClain, Arroyo at the second base spot, Tether Stevenson, and whoever they've been throwing out there at the catcher spot. That has not been great, to say the least. And Eugenio Suarez, 4 home runs at about 140 at-bats and hitting at 200. You just expect a little bit more there. For the Reds, this bullpen is also toilet bowl. They were actually number 1 in terms of bullpen ERA through the first month or so of the season, and, well, ever since then, they have been pretty much the worst bullpen in all of baseball. Caleb Ferguson coming off the injury list should be about Sam Moll, Brock and Rollberg. These are 2 guys who have been able to give you a sub 375 ERA, but man, you're going to need to get a little bit more onto some of these mix and match guys. Tony Santillan over a 5 ERA, Zach McKembley, Zachary Maxwell. These guys have been awful, and for the Padres, this continues to be a top 6 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Jason Adam along with Mason Miller. These 2 guys give you a sub 2 ERA. Yuki Matsui, sub 250 ERA. Wandy Peralta has been pretty solid as well. The Padres pitching has been good, and for Michael King, he has been giving up over 3.5 walks per 9 innings, just a hair below 9 strikeouts per 9, but 341 ERA, giving up 1 home run per 9 innings. I think that that's good enough to be able to get the job done here. So with the Padres, going to be looking at a chalkier money line up to minus 154 is what I'm going to be looking at there. I do like the under. Somebody total at a 7.3. 905, 906 on the card. The Years and the Diamondbacks, they're on the road. They're facing off against the Miami Marlins. Says Ryan Gusto says yes, may Gusto to another start, and Ryan Nelson is on the bump for the Diamondbacks. And the Battle of Ryans, it's a relatively pick'em game. Right now, both sides are between a minus 105 to a minus 110, and your total on this game, 8 to 8.5 on the 8. Over and under, both a minus 110 on the 8.5. Under is minus 120, and the over is even, and I'm very much looking at the over in this spot. As I said, I told it at 8.7. Whoever becomes the underdog is who I'm firing in on. I set the Marlins officially at a minus 102. When it's all said and done, I do think that they'll probably become a little bit of an underdog here, because for Ryan Nelson, he's at the very least been a competent pitcher here recently, and, well, for Ryan Gusto, he has not been. For Ryan Gusto, he's right now got, I'm not even kidding here, a 10.80 ERA thus far this season. That's because he's only pitched 5 innings and he's given up 6 runs, but go back to what he did last season in his time between the Astros and the Miami Marlins, 5.67 ERA. He was giving up 1.5 home runs, 3.2 walks per 9 innings, and Ryan Nelson just has not been able to find it this far this season. Sure, he's been a little bit better recently, but for Ryan Nelson, he's applying an ERA that's hovering right around about a 4.60, that fielding independent, or around about a 5.24, 1.9 home runs, 2.6 walks allowed per 9 innings, and he's backed up by a bullpen that's been much better this year than they have been in the past, with having Jonathan Loaizaga, Taylor Clark, Juan Murillo, along with Ryan Thompson, and give you a sub 350 ERA, that's been able to help out. But for the Miami Marlins, this is a top 10 team in terms of bullpen ERA as well. This despite the fact that they've had Pete Fairbanks supply well over a 5 ERA. Calvin Fauché has been up, down, all around thus far this season, but Anthony Bender has been able to find it. He and John King, these guys are giving you a sub 350 ERA. You've been able to get some good production as well out of Lake Bakar as a long guy for Miami, not necessarily a team that's going to provide a lot of power. Liam Mix, lone guy entering into yesterday with more than 6 home runs on the roster. It's been able to give you, though, about a 350 on base with those 12 bombs, but Xavier Edwards, Alonso Lopez, they're both hitting above a 300. Javier Sanja moves the line, hitting about a 260. It's really the bottom of the lineup that has hurt this team. Roberto Hernandez, Kyle Stowers, Owen Casey, Graham Pauley, bunch of guys hitting at 225 or lower. Christopher Morel has been absolutely terrible for this team, and then for the Diamondbacks, they do average about 3.5 runs per game away from home. That is a top 11 mark in all baseball. Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte, up to a double-figure amount of homers along Corbin Carroll. For Marte, only hitting about a 250. Carroll gives you about a 375 on base. And Nolan Arenado's been able to turn back time. 8 or 9 home runs. He's hitting about a 260. Gabriel Moreno in that neighborhood as well. Ryan Waldschmidt has been able to give you a little bit in the outfield as well. So do you think that you get a higher scoring game here? Semi-total at an 8.7, so I'm in on the over. And like I said, I made the Marlins a minus 102. Whoever becomes plus money here, that's who I'm going to be taking a shot on the money line to go along with this total to the over. 9-7, 908 on the card. The Dodgers are going to be on the road against the Pirates as Jared Jones walks the plank for the Buccos. Shohei Ohtani is on the bump for the Dodgers. The Dodgers, massive favorites here, anywhere between minus 175. I'm seeing as high as a minus 195 out there as well. Between plus 146 to a plus 162 is that number on Pittsburgh. 7.5 to 8 is the total on the 7.5. Over is minus 120. The under is even on the 8. Over and under anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 115. I set the Pirates at a plus 166. When the dime lines come out, I should be able to get closer to about a plus 170 or so. I'm going to be taking a look at the Pirates on the money line. And if worse comes to worse, right now, if you're looking to get a run and a half with the Pittsburgh Pirates, you'd be laying about a minus 110. I do think that when it's all said and done, we can get closer to even money. So I'll be in on the Pirates in some forward capacity. Do think that I'm going to get that money line price when it's all said and done, as Shohei Ohtani has been absolutely tremendous on the mound. Like, there's no gripes with the way that Shohei Ohtani is pitching right now, like ever since he came over to the LA Dodgers. So this is over the course of 2 years. 167 ERA, 219 fielding dependent, 0.4 home runs allowed per 9 innings, 10.8 strikeouts, 2.3 walks per 9 innings. But it just feels like the Dodgers, in his starts, they just don't get the job done. And for Jared Jones, he's come off the injured list, and he's looked pretty solid in his 2 starts since then. His swing and miss stuff is back, 9.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. Recognize that he has given up 5 runs in 9 and a third inning, so he needs to build himself up. That first start was relatively rough. Start number 2, he looked much more like the Jared Jones that we saw in 2024, and the guy that has a lot of hype. He was able to go out there and fire 5 scoreless innings, and when it comes to this Pittsburgh Pirates lineup, they have been averaging 5.7 runs per game at home thus far this season. That is numero uno in all of baseball. Oneil Cruz along with Brandon Lau have been your main boom guys, as both of these guys have been able to give you 14 plus home runs this season. Now Cruz, with a little bit of injury, he's probably going to be out of the fold for a little bit, but now you've got Ryan O'Hearn up to 10 home runs. O'Hearn has given you about a 360 on base. Nick Gonzalez is sitting at 300 for Brian Reynolds. He's been able to give you about a 390 on base. Jake Magnum is sitting over at 270, so plenty of guys moving the line. Need more out of Henry Davis, but on the flip side for the LA Dodgers, it's been a little bit up and down for them. Mookie Betts just has been absolutely terrible thus far this season, but Freddie Freeman, Andy Paz, both of these guys at about a 280. Both of these guys up to 9 plus home runs. For Paz, closer to 14 home runs this season. Max Muncy, 13 plus bombs. He's giving you about a 350 on base, but Kyle Tucker continues to struggle. They've been mixing and matching with some injuries, like they had to throw out their Alex Freeland yesterday. They had Ryan Ward in the outfield, so it's a little bit less than savory for the Dodgers. So for the Dodgers, they have been a top 7 team in terms of bullpen ERA. For Tanner Scott, he had a little bit of issues 2 weeks ago, but he's down below a 3 ERA. Same goes for Will Klein, Kyle Hurt, Alex Vesia. So they've done a great job there. They've got Jack Dreyer back off the injury list. And for the Pirates, this has been a team that's been more league average to slightly below average. It was so bad for Justin Lawrence, they just got rid of him. Dennis Santana's been supplying an ERA above a 4, but Kerman Bolshinski going from being a starter to the bullpen, that should be able to help out a little bit. Evan Sisk has been able to give you a sub 3 ERA. Gregory Soto is starting to regress a little bit, but all in all, I do think that you're going to be able to get some good performances here, and I do think that for the Pirates, they're just being dogged a little bit too much here. So at a plus 167 or better, which I think I'm going to get, I'm going to be taking a shot on the Pirates on the money line. I did set a total of a 7.6. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of 8s out there. Willing to take a shot on the 8 to the under. 909, 910 on the card. It's the Cardinals. They're going to be on the road against the Metropolitans. Austin Warren is a surprise opener for the Mets. Andre 3000 Valente goes for the Cardinals. Cardinals are an underdog here of between plus 115 to a plus 120, minus minus 130 to minus 140. That number on the Mets, 8.5 is a total. Under is minus 115. Over is minus 105. And I'm going to be willing to lay with the Mets. I did set them at a minus 148 when it was expected to be Christian Scott. Had to go down to a minus 134. Now they've got Austin Warren, but I also still do like the under as well. Set my total at an 8.1. With Warren, he's been very good in this bullpen, and the bullpen in general, I'll get into that in a second. It's very rock solid. This should be probably David Peterson, who's going to be able to give you some bulk innings, and he had a no good, very bad, terrible start to the season, but he's actually been able to round into form quite a bit for this Metropolitan team. He did give up the 6th spot against the Cincinnati Reds a few days ago. That was all sorts of brutal, but down to a 5.18 ERA, and the fielding dependent points towards a lot of positivity. 302 fielding dependent. He's kept the ball in the yard. He has only given up 2 home runs in 57 and a third innings. He is still giving up the 3.8 walks per 9 innings. That's been a little bit of an issue, but you look at David Peterson when he's been working behind an opener, it has been working out much better for him, coming in as a long reliever as well. When he has been a starter this far this season, just has not been good in that role, to say the least. A 7.56 ERA. Meanwhile, coming out of the bullpen, that lowers all the way to a 1.88. For the Mets, the bullpen has actually been really good. They're a top 7 team in terms of bullpen ERA. You've got so many guys like Oscar Brisbane, Brooks Raley, and that way it will give you a sub 3.25 ERA. Throw in there Luke Weaver after a rough start to the season. Now, Devin Williams, I just don't know if it's ever going to turn around for him, but overall, these guys have been able to do their part. The big thing for the Mets is they continue to be a bottom 8 team. There's run creation. Jacob Young, in his small sample size, has been able to give you about a 365 on base. That's on par with Juan Soto. These are like the lone 2 guys in the lineup yesterday that were giving you over a 325 on base. Now, Carson Benjay had that 5-hit game over the weekend against the Padres, so maybe things are turning around a little bit there. And AJ Ewan, he's been able to move the line for the team as well, but not a lot of power. Marcus Semien, along with Bo Bichette, these guys have been absolutely awful thus far this season. Sub 285 on bases without a lot of power. And for the Cardinals, they're much better with their offense away from home rather than at home, but they entered in the day yesterday since May 1st being a bottom 6 team in terms of run creation. Now, again, with St. Louis, they're averaging about 4.75 runs per game away from home. That is a top 8 mark in all of baseball, and Jordan Walker has been able to give you the boom, 15 plus home runs, hitting about a 300. And then you've got a lot of guys outside of him that move the line and find a way to get on base. Alec Burleson, J.J. Weatherholt between about a 355 to a 360 on base. And then you got Ivan Herrera, about a 380 on base. Now the guys at the bottom of the lineup, Thomas Segezi, Nolan Gorman, throwing their crooks at the catcher spot. These are guys hitting below a 225, so need a little bit more there. And for the Cardinals, more of a league average bullpen in terms of ERA. They send Matt Savanson down to the minor leagues. That's good. Ryan Stanek still gives you over a 4 ERA along with Justin Brule, but now Jojo Romero, George Soriano, Riley O'Brien, Gordon Gassefo. These have been guys that have been able to give you a sub 325 ERA. And for Andre Palante, he's just a guy that really doesn't impress me. He's not been awful this year. A 398 ERA, closer to about a 440 fielding dependent. He gives up only about 1.1 home runs per 9 innings, but 7.2 strikeouts, 3.3 walks per 9 innings. I do think that the Mets get to him enough to be able to get the job done. Want to lay up to a minus 133 on the Mets money line, and like the under semi-total at an 8.1. 9-11, 9-12 on the card. Its Cubs are going to be on the road against the Rockies as Shota Imanaga is on the bump for the Cubs, and Mr. Michael Lorenzen goes for Colorado. Total on this game is 12. The over and the under anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 115. Minus 160 to minus 170 is that number on the Cubs, and between plus 140, seeing as good as a plus 143 is that number on the Colorado Rockies. I'm seeing a 12.5 out there as well, and I am going to be willing to take a shot on the under. I set my total 11.6. If you're looking to lay a run half, by the way, with the Chicago Cubs, you're finding that in the neighborhood about a minus 110, and I'd be willing to go up to a minus 115 for Michael Lorenzen. Shota Imanaga's had a rough go of it. Michael Lorenzen just absolutely hates pitching at Coors Field. For Michael Lorenzen overall for the season, how about a nice hearty 8.01 ERA with a 5.12 fielding dependent? He's given up 1.6 home runs per 9 innings. There should be a little bit of positivity with regards to the ERA, but when he has pitched at Coors this far this season, holy crud. 9.67 ERA. He's given up 5 home runs in 27 innings thus far this season. And for Shota Imanaga, he had a really nice first month and a half or so of the season, and it has toilet bowled ever since then. For Shota Imanaga, 5+ runs allowed in each out of his last 4 starts. Man, that is not good to say the least. And for Imanaga overall for the season, 4.74 ERA, 4.94 fielding dependent, 2 home runs allowed per 9 innings, 8.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. Now, he's rolled the dice and he's come up snake eyes on having the wind blowing out at Wrigley Field quite a bit. That's a big reason why he's got a 5.13 home ERA, 4.08 ERA away from home. And at home, he's given up over 2.2 home runs per 9 innings thus far this season. But he should benefit from the fact that the Rockies haven't necessarily hit very well when they've been at home this far this season. You've only got one guy on the roster right now outside of Mickey Moniak, who's currently dealing with injury, that's been able to give you 9+ home runs this season. Hunter Goodman, he's been a good man with 17 home runs, and you do have a few guys that move the line. Jake McCarthy's hitting about a 280. TJ Romfield, he's been in that neighborhood about a 270. Troy Johnson above a 300, but these guys like Kyle Karros, Edouard Julien, Ezekiel Tovar, Brenton Doyle, a lot of guys hitting at 225 or lower. Flip side for the Chicago Cubs, again, the situational hitting is just awful. They continue to be a top 12 team in terms of run creation. Pico Armstrong up to hitting for about 11 home runs, and pretty much everyone on the roster, aside from Dansby Swanson, is giving you above a 310 on base. Really nobody above like a 340-ish. Ian Happ is a little bit above that. He's been able to give you 14 home runs, but that also comes with just a 232 average. Alex Bregman right now leads the big leagues in terms of men stranded on base, so that's been an issue. And then when it comes to the Cubs bullpen, you have had quite a few guys that have been able to do a solid job for this bunch. Daniel Palencia, along with Hobie Milner, Jacob Webb, they're giving you a sub 350 ERA. Cal Theobar a little bit higher than that, but he's still been able to do a relatively solid job. And then for the Colorado Rockies, this has been a bottom 8 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Antonio Senzatella still been able to give you a sub 3 ERA. Jimmy Ergin, Victor Vodnik being on the injury list has hurt them. And Seth Alverson, sub 350 ERA out of him. But with Brendan Bernardino, it's been a little bit up and down. Juan Mejia over a 5 ERA. A lot of these long guys just have not been able to come in there and hold down the fort. So for the Cubs, willing to lay up to a minus 115 on the run line. I do like the under. Semi total 11.6, 913, 914 on the card. The Yankees are going to be on the road against the Guardians, as it is Carlos Rodon on the bump for the Yankees, and Parker Messick is going for the Cleveland Guardians. Guardians do find themselves as between minus 110 to minus 120 favorites, between even money to minus 104. That's your number on the Yankees with a total of 7.5. The over is minus 120 and the under is even. I do like the over here. I did set my total as 7.9 for the Yankees. No doubt about it. This is not the same offense without Aaron Judge in the fold. They've been a top 5 team overall this season in terms of run creation with about 5.1 runs per game, and they're not going to be able to maintain that. That said, I don't think it's going to be as big of a fall off as it has been in past years because Ben Rice has been that good. Ben Rice is giving you about a 395 on base. He's up to 17 plus home runs this season, and you now have Cody Bellinger along Paul Goldschmidt give you over 350 on base. Both of these guys 8 plus home runs. They've done a solid job. You need more on the infield because Ryan McMahon, Anthony Volpe, Jazz Chisholm, these are guys hanging at 235 or lower. The catcher spot has been a nightmare for this team as well, so it's a top-heavy lineup. And then for the Guardians, they continue to be a bottom 10 team in terms of run creation. Chase Lauder, after he had that great start to the season, so I'll give you about a 330 on base, but not a lot of power there. Kyle Manzardo has been down this year. He's been giving you about a 325 on base, but only 7 home runs. You expect a little bit more there. Not hitting for average. Stephen Kwan has been terrible this far this season. Austin Hedges, though, hitting like a 255. I don't know where that came from. Ano Martinez has actually led the team in home runs with about 10. Jose Ramirez, 343 on base, but down with regards to his power. You've got Travis Bazzana. Guys like this doing a solid job in terms of moving line, but I'm just a believer in Parker Messick. Right now, he's been able to supply about a 240 ERA. Fielding dependent is a little bit higher than that, but he does a great job in terms of not beating himself. He's been getting about 2.6 walks per 9 innings, giving up only about a home run per 9, 9.5 strikeouts per 9, and for Carlos Rodon, nice 288 ERA. Swing and miss stuff is back. He's getting over 9 strikeouts per 9 innings, but the 5.8 walks per 9 innings, I think that's going to be a little bit costly. Now, the Yankees are a top 10 team in terms of bullpen ERA, but you do have your main 2 guys, David Benner along Camilo Udavall, really struggling. They've been posting up ERAs above a 4. Tim Hill is now starting to struggle as well. Fernando Cruz, Brent Hendrick, these guys have been solid. Paul Blackburn has walked the plank. These guys have been able to give you a sub 350 ERA, but you had to use a Blackburn yesterday. And for the Cleveland Guardians, not the same bullpen that we've seen in the past, especially with Eric Sabrowski on the injury list, but Hunter Gaddis, after a rough start to the season, he's rounded into form. Cade Smith has over 20 saves this far this season, and Sean Armstrong, since coming off the injury list, he and Tim Aaron have been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. So with the Guardians, I do think that they find a way to get the job done here. It's not that bad at minus 129. Taking a shot on the Guardians on the money line, and I do like this total to the over. Semi total 7.9, 915, 916 on the card. Our Red Sox are going to be on the road. They're facing off against the Tampa Bay Rays. We do know that Drew Rasmussen is going to be on the bump for the Rays. Right now, the betting board reads to be determined for the Boston Red Sox. Reading through the grapevine, looks like Jake Bennett is going to be getting the start for the Red Sox, and if you do indeed get Bennett versus Rasmussen, set the Rays at a minus 150. One to lay up to a minus 149 there. Plus 151 or better. Looking at the Red Sox, set a total of 7.6. 7.5 or less in on the over and 8 or higher to the under. And for Jake Bennett, he's had a cup of coffee at the big league level already thus far this season. So this would be a second go around. He's made 2 starts and he's got a 4.35 ERA in those 2 starts. Didn't get any swings and misses whatsoever in 10 and third innings. He got 4 strikeouts and 4 walks. Kept things out in front of him. Only gave up 1 home run. So if you look a little bit more at the minor league numbers at Worcester this season, 1.60 ERA, half home run allowed per 9 innings, good but not great swing and miss stuff, 9.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. I think that he can hold his own for this Red Sox team, who has a really good bullpen. Even with Garrett Woodlock being on the injury list, this continues to be a bunch that is in the top 8 in terms of bullpen area. Aroldis Chapman has been one of the best closers in all of baseball. They're kicking the tires on Tommy Kahnle. They threw him out there yesterday, but Tyler Semenijo has been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. You're getting off the injury list. Sandy Kaluma hasn't looked like himself this far this season, but I think that he's going to round into a little bit of better form. And then for the Tampa Bay Rays, this team has been more of a league average team with regards to their bullpen ERA. Cole Sulzer has seen his ERA go above a 450. Garrett Clevenger has been all over the place this season, but Kevin Kelly, Brian Baker, these guys have been able to give you sub-350 ERA. Casey Lugumina has been a pretty solid pickup for them as well, and this is a Tampa Bay Rays lineup that has actually done a really good job of hitting at the trop thus far this season. For the Rays, they do find themselves in the top 8 in terms of run creation at home. Yandy Diaz along Junior Caminero have been a big reason why. Diaz 12 bombs with a 4 on base going into yesterday. Caminero about a 380 on base, 14 home runs, and then Jonathan Aranda 370 on base, about 11 home runs, and then you get a lot of stolen bases out of Chandler Simpson, who's been able to about a 275, and these ancillary guys like Ben Williamson, Nick Fortes, Richie Palacios. You've got a lot of guys that they just find a way to be able to get on base for this team. For Drew Rasmussen, he's given up a little bit more of the deep ball than what you'd like, but overall, he's been able to do a very nice, formidable job in terms of holding down the fort for this team, and he does a nice job in terms of not hurting himself as well, because his walks per 9 rate, that's right around about 1.6, gives up 1.1 home runs per 9, 3 ERA, 334 fielding. Depends. Do you think that the Rays should be a nice size favorite, especially with the Red Sox continuing to be a bottom 6 team in terms of run creation? They've actually been more of a league average offense away from them. They just have not been able to hit a Fenway thus far this season, but Jarren Duran, even with 9 home runs in the month of May, he's given you just a 271 on base thus far this season. Now you've got guys moving the line: Masataka Yoshida, Weiler Abreu, Cedon Rafaela, Mickey Gasper, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. These guys are between about a 320 to a 345 on base, but outside of Wilson Contreras, 385 on base, 12 plus home runs, really no power whatsoever, and Caleb Durbin has been useless thus far this season. So 7.5 or less like the over, 8 or higher to the under with the Rays, willing to lay up to minus 149 with them, plus 151 or better like the Red Sox. 9:17, 9:18 on the card. The Mariners are on the road against the Orioles as George Kirby goes for the M's, and Brandon Young hopes to give the good start here for the Orioles. Orioles do find themselves as a home underdog of plus 105, seeing as good as a plus 110. Meanwhile, minus 124 to minus 130. That's your number on Seattle. 8.5 to 9 is the total on the 8.5. Over is minus 130, under is plus 110. Seeing mostly 9s with the over and under anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 115. And for the Orioles, I did set them at a plus 129. I'm going to be willing to lay up to minus 128 with the Mariners. For George Kirby, he's been down with his swing and miss stuff, but as per usual, doing a good job in terms of command, and he's really done a nice job in terms of keeping the ball in the yard this season. 0.8 home runs per 9 innings, that's a career best. 2.1 walks, 7.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. So 4.04 ERA, but a better 340 fielding independence. So I think that he's going to be doing for some positivity after giving up 3 plus runs, and now each out of his last 4 starts does have to go up against an Orioles team that has been much better with their offense when they've been at home rather than away from home this far this season. As for the Orioles, top 6 team in terms of run creation, they're getting about 5 runs per game specifically at home. Away from home, that falls by over a half a run. And for the Orioles, a little bit of an all-or-nothing team right now because Pete Alonso has been able to give you 13 plus home runs. He's starting to rise up a little bit with a 320 on base. Taylor Ward, who had 30 home runs last season with the Angels, down to 3 this season, but a 400 on base, he'll take that. Gunnar Henderson, he's been able to give you those 14 plus home runs, but a 284 on base. You just expect a little bit more there. Colin Cowser is starting to move the line a little bit, but Tyler O'Neill, Kobe Mayo, Jackson Holiday, Sam Huff, you've got a lot of guys hitting at 225 or lower for this team, and Mariners are in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of run creation. They're going to be without J.P. Crawford for a little bit of time, so they're rolling the dice on Victor Robles towards the top of the lineup. Randy Arozarena continues to get on base, 380 on base, and Luke Raley along with Julio Rodriguez. These guys have been able to give you 11 plus home runs. Both of these guys hitting in that neighborhood about a 255 to a 265. Need more on some of these bottom guys, as Mitch Garver, who's been filling in for Cal Raleigh at the catcher spot, along with Ryan Bliss, hitting below the Mendoza line of 200, like what I've seen out of Colt Emerson in his small sample size, but he's now been dealing with a little bit of ailment. But for the Seattle Mariners, far better bullpen in this one. Top 8 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Cooper Criswell does hit the injury list, so that hurts him a little bit. Andres Munoz has not been himself this season, posting up an ERA above a 4, but Jose Ferrer, Gabe Spire, Edward Bizarro, Matt Brash, so many guys, they're giving you a sub-3 ERA. And then for the Orioles, Ynier Cano, along with Uncle Rico Garcia, these guys have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA, but Andrew Kitcherson's coming off the injury list well above a 5 ERA. Keegan Aiken has been absolutely awful. Anthony Nunez not doing a great job. Ryan Elsley continues to be on the injury list, so you've got a lot of issues there. And for Brandon Young, he's been lucky that his ERA is not ballooned even higher than what it has. So, you've got one guy that's doing for a little bit of positivity with George Kirby. You've got another guy in Brandon Young who's got a 3.47 ERA with a 4.28 fielding dependent. He's only getting 6.8 strikeouts at 3.1 walks per 9 innings. Do you think that the Mariners jump up on him and get the job done here? Did set my total at 8.8. I do like the under in this spot. And for the Mariners, I'm going to be willing to lay up to a minus 128 on the money line. 919, 920 on the card. The Twins are going to be on the road against the Tigers as Framber Valdez is on the bump for the Tigres and is old to be determined on the bump for Minnesota. This game is off the board. This should be a lot of a bullpen game here for the Twins. I'm thinking that you're just going to get a lot of mix and match, and assuming that, I set the Tigers at a minus 177. Willing to go to a minus 176 there, or plus 112 or better, which is probably what I'm going to be looking at. Looking at the run line of the Tigers, would need at least a plus 178 to take a shot on the Twins, and set a 12 at 8.6. So 8.5 or less, going to be in on the over, a 9 or higher to the under. Now, I recognize that for the Tigers, this has been a bottom 7 team in terms of run creation, but this has been a unit that has been able to do a pretty solid job ever since they got back Kerry Carpenter and Gleyber Torres. Torres is right now giving you about a 385 on base. He, Kevin McGonigal, and Riley Green all give you at least a 385 on base with having Carpenter back. He had 20 plus home runs last season. Dylan Dingler has been your main boom guy. He's been able to give you 14 home runs, lone guy on the roster, give you a double figure amount of homers. Do you think there's a little bit of positivity here for Spencer Torkelson? Single digit amount of homers. He's hitting at 215, and with these guys coming back, the likes of Zach McKinstry, Matt Vierling, Zach Short, Jake Rogers, so many guys. Juancio Perez that have been hitting at 225 or lower, you're able to rule them out, so that helps out quite a bit. And for the Minnesota Twins, assuming that they're going to be doing a lot of mixing and matching in this game, bottom 5 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Justin Topa, nice hearty about 8 or so ERA this far this season. That's not necessarily what you want to be finding there. John Klein is a young guy that might be giving them a few innings in this one. I would not be surprised as well if you see a little bit of Mike Paredes. They are going to be just throwing out there the kitchen sink in general and just hoping and praying that they're going to be able to find a little bit of something. When they've had Kenry Rojas out there, it's been solid, but they had to put him on the injury list now as well. He was going to be an option for a little bit of a longer relief role as well. So now they're really just up against it. I'm thinking that they're going to be calling up their Marco Reo, who's been awful at the minor league level, to be able to lend a little bit of length. And with Taylor Rogers in the bullpen, he's been giving you over a 4.40 ERA. So this mix and match game, I think that it's going to be a lot of just miserableness in general. Andrew Morris is a long guy providing over a 5 ERA. But for the Twins, they've been a top 12 team in terms of run creation. Byron Buxton, 18 home runs. He continues at about a 255, and then you got Brooks Lee, who's up to 9 bombs now. Not necessarily hitting for a lot of average, hitting about a 240. You've been able to have the likes of Lucas Shaw, Austin Martin in between about a 240, 250, along with Cody Clemens. And Clemens has give you 8 home runs at about 190 at bat, so that's not too bad. You've had Ryan Jeffers give you over 4 on base, but it's been touch and go, especially with Josh Bell, not necessarily giving you a lot in terms of power. And for the Detroit Tigers, this has been a team that they themselves have been a little bit above league average with regards to bullpen ERA. They just have really blown games in the 9th inning because they trusted in Kenley Jansen at the closer's role. Now he's on the injured list, and I just have had a lot of guys that have blown games. Drew Anderson is at about a 3.86 ERA. Birch Smith is on the injured list. Brant Herter has been dealing with quite a few injuries as well. Kyle Finnegan has been trustworthy, sub 2.15 ERA, but Emmanuel De Jesus has been awful in this bullpen. Will Vest over a 6 ERA, so very much a roll of the dice there. And for Framber Valdez, as per usual, he's doing a nice job in terms of keeping the ball in the yard. For Valdez, his swing and miss stuff has been a little bit down this season, as right now he's only getting in the neighborhood of about 7.3 strikeouts per 9 innings, 4.21 ERA. Fielding independent, very much in line with this, as he's still only giving up only about 0.9 home runs per 9 innings, but he's giving up closer to about 3.3 walks per 9 innings. But with the Twins' lack of pitching, I do think that you get a higher scoring game, 8.5 or less, like the over 9 or higher to the under for the Tigers, plus 112 or better looking at the run line, plus 178 or better looking at the Twins. 921, 922 on the card. The Rangers are going to be on the road facing off against the Royals, as Seth Lugo is on the bump for the Royals, and Mackenzie Gore hopes to not get gored for Texas. They are back to being a slim favorite here, anywhere between minus 110 to a minus 126. Meanwhile, minus 105 to plus 108 is that number on Kansas City. 9.5 to 10 is the total on the 10. Under is minus 115, over is minus 105. On the 9.5, over is minus 115 to minus 120. The under is between even at minus 105. And with the Royals, I set them at a plus 124, so I'm going to be willing to lay up to minus 123 here with the Rangers. For Seth Lugo, he's done a nice job in terms of keeping the ball in the yard. Not going to be any sort of strikeout artist or anything like that. He's getting fewer than 8 strikeouts per 9 innings, but 0.8 home runs, 2.8 walks per 9 innings, 3.91 ERA, 3.61 fielding independent. And for Mackenzie Gore, he's been better than the 4.23 ERA would indicate. Now he's given up over 3.5 walks per 9 innings, but 9.5 strikeouts, 8 home runs allowed per 9 innings, and he's backed up by a bullpen that has been supreme this season for the Rangers. Third in terms of bullpen ERA, the Jacobs, Jacob Junis, Jacob Latz, both of these guys have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. Jalen Beeks in a little bit of a long roll has been pretty solid. They did have to throw Cole Winn on the injured list, but he was arguably their worst reliever on the team. Even someone like a Gavin Collier has been able to do a nice job, give you good innings. The rough part of this Rangers team has been the lineup. They've been a bottom 6 team in terms of run creation, but take a look at the home and road splits because Arlington is just really suppressing offense. The Rangers, they're averaging 3.6 runs per game at home, closer to 4.4 runs per game away from home. They're a league average team with regards to run creation away from home, and they should be able to see a little bit more pop with getting Wyatt Langford and Corey Seager back off the injured list. Recognize that these guys were off to a shaky start to the season, but the power just has not been there, and they should be able to lend a little bit more of that. You've had Josh Young do a nice job finding way on base. He's hitting above 8,300. Ezekiel Darren, about a 350 on base. Don't call his name Alejandro Zuna over a 350 on base. Jock Peterson's up to 8 or 9 home runs. He's giving you about a 345 on base, and then Jake Berger really doesn't get on base, but he's been able to give you double-figure amount of bombs for the Royals. This team is averaging closer to about 4.3, 4.4 runs per game at home, but they're a bottom 3 team in terms of run creation. You just expected more out of Vinny Pasquantino along Salvador Perez. For Pasquantino, right around 6 home runs and just a 305 on base. Perez is up to 9 home runs, but hardly hitting above the middle line of 200, sub 275 on base. Carter Jensen is out giving you less than a 290 on base. Bobby Witt Jr., 355 on base. He has been fine. He's been able to give you 9 home runs, but you'd expect, honestly, a little bit more pop out of him as well. And then these mix and match guys like Isaac Collins and company, not doing a very good job for the Royals. This continues to be a bottom 5 team in terms of opening area, as well as they've dealt with the injury to Carlos Estevez throughout the entirety of this season. Daniel Lynch has been solid. He's been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. Alex Lang has looked a little bit better, but still giving you over a 4 ERA. John Schreiber's had his issues. Matt Strom has as well. And Lucas Serfsedge, man, not great to say the least. So with the Rangers, I do think that they find a way to get the job done here. Like them on the money line up to a minus 123, and like the under, semi-12 at 8.3. 923 and 924 on the card. The Astros are going to be on the road against the Angels as Reed Detmers goes for the Astros and Peter Lambert goes for the Astros. The total on this game is 8.5. Under is minus 115. The over is minus 105, and between minus 119 to minus 125 is that number on the Halos, and between even money to plus 110 is your number on Houston. And I'm going to be willing to take a shot on the Angels, set them at a minus 135. Reed Detmers has performed much better than what the ERA would indicate. Part of the bad luck is because he's backed up by the Angels defense, but that said, he's right now supplying an ERA of 4.26 compared to a 2.92 fielding dependent, 10.7 strikeouts to 0.7 home runs allowed per 9 innings, and I do think that he's going to be able to see a little bit of improvement against an Astros team that it just feels like they're really top heavy. You've got these guys like Zach Cole, Zach DeZenzo, Jake Myers, Bryce Matthews that are hitting below a 230 in the bottom of the lineup that are all pretty much out there in the outfield. The catcher spot has been very wishy-washy as well. Jordan Alvarez has been great, 22 plus home runs over a 4 on base, and then you've been able to get 16 plus bombs out of Christian Walker, who's hitting darn near 250, and getting back Jose Altuve. That should be able to help out a little bit as well. And for the Angels, this has been a bottom 5 team in terms of run creation at home. For the Angels, they've been actually a really good team in terms of supplying runs away from home. They're averaging 5 runs per game away from home. That is a top 6 mark in all of baseball. And then at home, 3.75 runs per game. And you saw Mike Trout, who's giving you over 380 on base. He's been able to give you the double-figure amount of homers. And Zach Neto, he could be a little bit of an all-or-nothing guy, but 13 home runs. He's over a 330 on base as well. Wyatt Meckler, in a small sample size, has made it a little above a 300 as well. Nolan Schunel as well, Peraza. These are guys moving the line, and in a very small sample size, Jose Sirius actually looks solid as well. But again, less than 35 at-bats. Hard to make too much out of that. Both of these teams are bottom 6 teams in terms of bullpen ERA right now. For the Astros, getting back Josh Hader should be able to help them out quite a bit. And then Aniel De Los Santos, Bryant King, these guys have been good. Brian Abreu, north of 6 ERA. AJ Blueboss, the long guy, has been rough whenever they tried it out there. These mix and match guys like JP France and company, boy, it has not been good. And then for the Angels, it was so bad that they decided to roll the dice on Alek Manoah. That's all that needs to be said there. But you do have the likes of Jay Silseth, alongside Bachman, who have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. Drew Pomeranz has been miserable thus far this season. He and Ryan Zephyrian throwing for north of 4 ERA. Brent Suter has had a little bit of a rough go of it. Kirby Yates as well. But I do think that Detmer's going to be able to eat some innings here. And for Peter Lambert, he's been able to do a solid job for this Astros team. Now, the one issue that you've got with him is the walks, because for Peter Lambert, he's done a nice job in terms of keeping the ball in the yard. He gives up about 0.5 to 0.6 home runs per 9 innings, 8.4 strikeouts per 9 innings and overall 3.55 ERA, but those 4.4 walks per 9 innings leave them prone to be getting knocked out of the start early. So you have to have fear of that Astros bullpen coming in and pitching a little bit more than needed. So somebody told it at 8.2, like the under, and for the Astros, I set them at a plus 135, so I'm willing to lay up to minus 134 on that Angels money line. 925, 926 on the card. The Phillies are on the road against the Blue Jays. And Max Scherzer comes off the injury list for the Blue Jays. That's a surprise. And you've got Jesus Luzardo on the bump for the Phillies. Phillies, solid size favorites here, anywhere between minus 130 to minus 154. Between plus 118 to plus 130 is that number on Toronto. 8 to 8.5 is the total. On the 8.5, over and under, anywhere between minus 105 to minus 115. On the 8, the over is minus 120 and the under is even. I'm willing to lay out with the Phillies. I set them at a minus 149. Max Scherzer is just about as wash gets right now. Like, holy crud. I love Max Scherzer as a kid. I'm no longer a kid, though. 9.64 ERA in the 5 starts for Max Scherzer. 8.36 fielding independent. 4.8 strikeouts. 3.9 walks per 9 innings with 3.4 home runs allowed per 9 innings. There's just absolutely no backing him. Like, I know that the bullpen has a few okay pieces because you've got Braden Fisher, Louis Varland, Taylor Rogers. These guys have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA, but you're going to need to utilize a lot more of the bullpen. Like Ariel Rodriguez, well north of a 5 ERA. Mason Flaherty has been rounding into a little bit of better form, but Jeff Hoffman has been brutal as well. And for Jesus Luzardo, he's doing for a lot of positivity. He's rocking a 4.56 ERA, 3.41 fielding independent, 1 home run, 9.9 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's been able to do a relatively solid job. He's been one of the most unlucky pitchers in all baseball and faces off against a Blue Jays team that is in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of run creation. Now, for the Blue Jays, plenty of guys are getting online, getting on base. Ernie Clement, Nathan Lukes, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Jesus Sanchez. I mean, you've got a lot of guys hitting above a 280. Hendrik Pinago as well, but outside of Kazuma Okamoto, 13 plus home runs, really don't have anyone that's above like 8 home runs. Now, Brandon Valenzuela filling in for Alexander Kirk, 330 on base, and he's had like 3 home runs over the last 7 days, so I like what I'm seeing there. But again, the Blue Jays, even though they don't strike out a lot, they get on base, they're not generating a lot of runs. And for the Phillies, this team has also been a bottom 7 team in terms of run creation. Kyle Schwarber, he's on pace for 50 plus home runs, 355 on base. Bryce Harper, 14 home runs, 370 on base. But in this entire infield with Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm, Trey Turner down for what? All the catchers, all these guys hitting at 230 or lower with not a lot of pop. Justin Crawford now hitting just a 230. Adolis Garcia hitting below the mid-dose line of 200. And for the Phillies, league average team in terms of bullpen ERA, but your main guys, Yohan Duran, Orion Kirkering, they've been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. You want to be steering clear of the guys like Jonathan Bolin, Tanner Banks, these guys that have over a 5 ERA. Brad Keller, it's been a little bit up and down as well, but I do think that Luzardo goes out there, gets the job done. And personally, I want that 8 over rather than an 8.5 under because I think that Max Scherzer just gets destroyed here. So I told it at 8.4. So looking at the 8 over. After the Phillies, I like the money line. Set them at a minus 149, 927, 928 on the card. You've got the Braves. They're going to be on the road against the White Sox. Chris Sale ups and not sell for the Braves. And this should be Davis Martin going for the Chicago White Sox. So a little bit of mystery there, but opening numbers have the Braves as between minus 150 to minus 155 favorites. About plus 130 across the board is that number on the White Sox. 7.5 is the total, over and under both at minus 110. And I am going to be in on the Braves, whether you get Davis Martin or someone else. I did set my money line price at a minus 167. Do recognize that Chris Sale is, for one, going up against a former team, so that always makes things very interesting. And for 2, for Chris Sale, he's probably doing for a little bit of regression with his super low 223 ERA. The fielding dependent is more around about a 289, but he's only giving up 0.7 home runs per 9 innings. He's still getting 10.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. He has been able to do an absolutely magnificent job. And for Davis Martin, he's had a really good season thus far for the White Sox. Did get hit around in his last start, though. Last start against the Minnesota Twins, gives up 6 runs in the course of 4 2/3 innings, and has now given up 4 plus runs in 2 out of his last 3 starts. 261 ERA, though, 246 fielding dependent, 0.4 home runs allowed per 9 innings, but he has to face off against an Atlanta Braves team that has been absolutely exceptional with their offense. For the Braves, they're right now averaging darn near 6 runs per game away from home. That is numero uno in all baseball, and they're not even at full strength because Drake Baldwin is currently out of the fold for this team, but if Matt Olson be able to supply it now 19 home runs after he went deep multiple times yesterday, he's giving you about a 270 average. Ronald Acuna Jr., 375 on base. He hasn't even necessarily been in full force yet. Dom Smith is hitting a 300. You've got Michael Harris hitting above a 285. He's been able to give you a double-figure amount of homers. Ozzy, Albies, 10 home runs, about a 280 average. So 1 through 9 is just really fearsome for the Atlanta Braves. And Montaka Murakami without his 20 home runs for the White Sox, this is a team that they just don't have quite as much in the lineup now. They've had Miguel Vargas continue to carry the mail, 16 bombs, about a 370 on base, and Colson Montgomery, he's been able to give you 14 plus home runs as well, but for Montgomery, he's hitting below a 230, so that's a little bit of an issue. To have Chase Meadroff give you about a 350 on base, Sam Antonazzi, 385 on base, but the Braves completely outclassed this White Sox team in terms of bullpen as well. For the Braves, entered in the series, numero uno in terms of bullpen ERA. Tyler Kinley is right now one of your weak links with like a 3 ERA, and then you got Dylan Lee, Robert Suarez, Raciel Iglesias, Dolan Dodd, all these guys that have been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. As a matter of fact, for pretty much all these guys, a sub-2 ERA. Flip side for the White Sox, you're trusting in Anthony Dominguez as your closer. Not a place where you want to be now. They do have a little bit of upside. You got the likes of Brian Hudson, Grant Taylor, Sean Newcomb, who have been able to give you a sub-325 ERA, but Trevor Richards is a little bit shaky as a long guy. Tyler Davis is starting to regress, posting up over a 4 ERA, so interesting spot here. I do like the over, so I total 7.7. I think that the White Sox do just enough for this total, and for the Braves, I set them at a minus 167 on the money line. If you're looking to lay a run half with them, I was willing to take pretty much anything at plus money. Right now, finding that at about a plus 105, I'd be willing to take a shot on the run line at any sort of plus money with the Braves to go along with that over. Wrap things up with 929, 930 on the card from lovely Las Vegas. It's the Athletics playing against the Brewers. Should be Brandon Sprodier going for the Brewers, but some places have this as TBD. Jack Perkins goes for the Athletics. Total on this game, 14.5. Over is anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 110. Under is between minus 110 to a minus 115. And Brewers, right now, some favorites anywhere between minus 108 to a minus 115. Anywhere between even money to minus 108 is that number on the Athletics. And I did set the A's at a minus 108. I do like them on the money line. Now, if you look at Jack Perkins and the overall ERA, it's just not great to say the least, but the underlying numbers point towards a lot of positivity. 6.19 ERA, but 289 fielding dependent. 0.6 home runs, 2.5 walks per 9 innings, 11 punch-outs per 9. And yeah, we saw fireworks in the first game out in lovely Las Vegas, recording this before we know the second game, but that first game was 15-14. I do think that things are going to be calming down a little bit. It's actually a little bit cooler out here in lovely Las Vegas than it typically is, so that should help out things a little bit. For the Brewers, they entered into the series dead last in terms of home runs on a per at-bat basis. 11 home runs in the first game between the two teams. That breaks the ice a little bit more there, but for the Brewers, they're a little bit more of a small ball team. Jake Bauers right now leads the way, 12 home runs. He's been able to give you over 350 on base, and then likes of Bryce Harang, William Contreras, Christian Yelich, Jackson Chourio, just so many guys hitting above a 275, so many guys that just find a way to move the line, get on base. David Hamilton has been able to do a solid job of that as well. And then for the Athletics, Shea Banks, Shea Langoliers, 17 home runs, 350 on base. Tyler Soderstrom back up to a double-figure amount of homers. He's looking a little bit better. Been a rough season for Brent Rooker, but Henry Bolte, since they called him up from the minors, no power, but he's hitting about a 300. You've got a lot of guys like Carlos Cortez, who's giving you about a 400 on base. And for the Athletics, it's been a bullpen that has been a little bit shaky. They're in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of ERA, but likes of Scott Barlow, Justin Sterner, Luis Medina, these guys entered in the series with a sub-375 ERA. And then for the Brewers, Brandon Sprochus has not been good this far this season. 1.8 home runs, 4.8 walks allowed per 9 innings. He's right now rocking an ERA that is well above a 5, so that's not a place where you want to be. But that said, he's got a bullpen that does rank in the top 8 in terms of ERA. Grant Anderson has been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. Aaron Ashby has been pretty solid as well. Gave up a home run that probably should not have been to Jonah Heim in the 10th inning yesterday, but I mean, he's been able to hold down the 4. Brian Fitzpatrick give you a sub-3 ERA, but a little bit shaky for Abner Uribe, Trevor McGill, but these are guys that are rounding into form as well. So interesting spot here, minus 107 or better, looking at the Athletics, and I do think that the total is a little bit overreactionary to that first game. Somebody total 12.8. Certainly think that you get some runs, but 14 plus, a little bit too high, in on the under, and the Athletics on the money line. And that'll wrap things up for the Wednesday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Big thanks to our guy, Dylan Rockford of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, for joining me in the last segment. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one or two ways we help fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at @GNet_81. Keep in mind, Larry CM, maybe does not matter. So as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. The other way is via an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. And I'm with you guys every single day on this podcast, give you picks and analysis on every game, every day. So I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.